Good morning. This is a stream about coffee. And no, I don't mean the web framework for programming that's probably defunct now that I tried to learn 5 years ago or so. I guess it was more than 5 years ago. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so I do not have anything really planned for this morning. The week kind of got away from me. I do have a couple of things. One is this HackerBox that I won. There was a demonstration by, Jamie's Hack Shack, where he reviews these. And if you comment, you can, excuse me, if you're picked randomly, you could win one. So I did, which is cool. And I want to assemble this thing. It's a Uno R4 Wi-Fi, microcontroller with a hat for like doing a timer and some other interface stuff. So it's a nice kit. They give you all the parts. They even give you goodies in the kit. This is not an endorsement, by the way, because I didn't mark it as an endorsement. But, if you go to hackerboxes.com and you check something out and you like it, then, that's on you. But it came with this neat little, lockpick kit to try. So, maybe I'll learn how to pick locks. Anyway, so this is something I could work on today. I don't know if I'm really up to it this morning. Yes, Jamie's Hack Shack. Jamie is in the chat, so check out his channel. And let me see if I can do this, Jamie. Sorry, hang on. Oh man, I wish they'd stop putting like the little heart thing over the top of the little other thing, so that when you try to thing, it gets in the way of doing the thing. Add as moderator. Okay, Jamie, I just made you a moderator, so you can drop a link to HackerBox and your channel, because Jamie does a lot of reviews that are very helpful. And so check it out. It's also a cool box. Anyway, I do want to do this, but I don't think I'm going to do it this morning. So I had a couple. Yes, thank you, Jamie, for putting that link in there. I've mostly been heads down working on the manual for the game manual for Adventure, and thanks to the largesse from viewers like you, I was able to figure out how I was going to afford to print manuals, because I think it's really important. Hey, morning, Billgoats. I think it's really important that you have that classic printed manual to go along with the game in a box and all that. And don't worry, it's still going to be a digital download for all the stuff for the game. But I really like having physical manuals for things, and so I wanted to make my own manual. Oh my gosh, having a manual printed in any kind of number is stupid expensive, and Yeah. So, I mean, a brochure even. I even, I knew it was going to be expensive, but I went and looked for local print shops and things like that to see, if you did a small run of, say, 100 manuals, 100 pages, double-sided, blah, blah, blah. It's like $1.50 a page. And I'm like, there's no way. So even just having double-sided laser printed pages done online and sent to you in bulk is stupid expensive. So the uh, the cheapest way to do it was to find a 1930s lithographic print press so that I could cut my own blocks for images and then lay out the pages with lead type. No, I'm kidding. That's not the cheapest way to do it. That's the easiest way to lose your fingers. Believe me, I knew a guy. So, no, actually the cheapest way to do it is to use your own laser printer. Now, home user grade laser printers are not all that robust. And the ink's still pretty expensive, or the toner. But there are some kind of small business level ones that are not bad. And the toner for something like that, you don't get quite as vivid a graphics as you would with a top of the line HP laser printer, especially color. But they're pretty darn good, and the toner's about half the price. In fact, there was a laser printer, a good one, available at my local university surplus store for only $120, and I thought, well, this is great. And then I looked up toner. It's $500 for a set of toner for that printer, and I'm like, that's just too much. So, I mean, 3,000 pages. It's a high capacity one, but still, that's too expensive. Anyway, reached out, got some very generous donations from people, so I was able to buy a Brother laser printer that comes with the standard toner cartridges. Does about 100 or 1,500 pages, and that'll be sufficient to print out manuals for the first set. I'm going to bind them myself, so I also purchased one of those, you can cut 20 sheets at a time to do a spiral bound manual, which is another point. You could just staple something together, but it doesn't lie flat. And how many of you guys have tried to use a manual? Maybe nobody does anymore, but if you use a book or a manual or something, and the frickin' thing can't lie flat, or if you prop it up, it tries to close constantly. That's really frustrating. I thought it was important that the manuals be either comb or spiral bound so that you can lie them flat. Well, it just so happens that's the cheapest way to bind a manual. Anyway, so thank you to all the supporters. What I'm doing in exchange for anybody that supports Adventure, the game, is you get recognition inside and credit in the credits for the game. When it does go live and it's available, and the current plan is September at VCF Midwest, I'm going to have box sets available for sale. It'll be available online, and it'll be a free download. I'm not going to charge for the digital download for it, so everybody will be able to get it then. There'll probably be previews, maybe a tutorial or something like that I'll release to supporters, so I can get some free testing, right? So anyway, enough about that. I also set up a t-shirt shop. So threadless. So if you go to ericsedge.threadless.com, you can see some of the both original and inspired t-shirt designs. Let me share my desktop. Excuse me. I really need to tell this stupid tablet not to go to sleep. Okay, here's the desktop. So, Adventure, the Quack of Dawn, is the first installment of the Adventure game series. So there's t-shirts for that. I joked about HyperCard being, stacks, being full stack development. So I've got a full stack developer HyperCard image. I finally came up with a, hopefully it doesn't violate, app doesn't make Apple send me a cease and desist letter, because HyperCard is still a registered trademark. I made a HyperCard user group, the vintage HyperCard user group logo. I also have this I Love HyperCard. And then this is the one that's derived from another one. There was a t-shirt that was available for HyperCard 2.2 that had this neat font work, typography, whatever you want to call it. And so I revived it and made it for HyperCard 2.4 and got rid of the Apple logo on it. So I don't make the t-shirts myself. This is a threadless store. Same store that Ron uses for his. There's a sale going on right now where it's $13.95 for a t-shirt and 35% off, up to 35% off for everything else. So that's a decent sale. And this Threadless has lots of sales throughout the year. So anyway, decided to go with them. My eldest daughter really liked doing graphic design work, and one of the things she did was design some t-shirts, and we did talk about going into printing our own up and doing our own silk screening and stuff like that, but never did it. So I doubt very much I'll ever make my own t-shirts. So something I could do, but nah, I got enough hobbies. So anyway, wanted to bring that up. And then my coffee site. So if you decide you want to become a member or to contribute towards Adventure, there's a Adventure game fund that's going on. There's still other things I need to do. I got to buy boxes, make box sets, that kind of thing. So if you care to contribute, go ahead. You'll get credit in the game. If you don't, that's fine too. I'm bootstrapping this thing, so I'll be selling box sets at VCF, and that'll help pay for some of the effort. Anyway, so what am I going to talk about today? I did run into this, and it's about isometric tiles. And we've all seen games that are simple graphic games. There's a couple of great new game releases for 8-bit and I think 16-bit machines. But anyway, there's something for the Atari that's out. That's a dungeon crawl, and it uses that isometric tile kind of a game. And I saw that and I thought, there's no reason why you can't do that in HyperCard. So I have to finish Adventure version 1, before I get into anything else. But at the same time, I'm looking at some of the things that I could do for the next version. And I think it should be okay to do Adventure with a graphical front end in HyperCard instead of a text-based Adventure, where it's a dungeon crawl and do an isometric display. Shouldn't be too difficult for somebody as ham-fisted as me to come up with the tiles and the graphics. maybe I could get some help with that. And then do some simple, animation for the dungeon crawler and the player and the non-playing characters and stuff. So that'll be a goal for after September to do that. But I can't help but look into things like this. And this guy, let's see where he is, Clint Bellinger, put together this little thing about how to do the math for it. And it's actually fairly simple. Drawing graphics in HyperCard programmatically is very easy. So I'm thinking, I might play around with doing this on a future stream just as a, hey, look, this is what's possible kind of a thing. Hey, let's take a look and see who's in the chat. So who do we got? Starting with the first person, Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Good morning, Dave. Dave is unique in that he lives 3 hours in the past, or is it the future? 3 hours in the future. Yeah, anyway, I can't. Temporal displacements are weird to me. Anyway, he gets up 3 hours earlier than I do in the morning so that he could join. So here's to you, Dave. Hope you're having coffee. Trina's Technobabble is here. Trina has a Computers with Pride store in Canada where she does a lot of computer sales and things like that. So make sure you check her out. Drop a link, Trina, if you care to. Jamie's Hack Shack. Already mentioned Jamie, so thank you, Jamie. Who else do we have? And Jamie dropped a link, so check that out. And Billgoats, hey. Good afternoon. Billgoats lives in the Orkney Islands, north end of the world. Not quite the north end of the world. I mean, the Shetlands are further out, but still. Let me switch the camera back here, sorry. So he's out there in the middle of nowhere. Or nearly. Who else do we have? Rudy, good morning, Rudy. I hope work's going good. Rudy has got a great deal of information for anything to do with Naboo or some of the other 8-bit machines. So make sure you check out Rudy's helpful material. He's helped me a lot with fixing stuff up and figuring out how things work. I think. Oh, and of course Mac84. Good morning, Steve. Steve is a collector of all things printer. Okay, so he also collects 840 AVs that don't work. What else does Dave do? Or excuse me, Steve do? Oh yeah, he does a whole bunch of other streamy stuff and things like that. So make sure you check out Steve's channel. Oh, anyway. Steve recently erected a shed, and I'm surprised that Allison didn't take it over. hits the printer with a hammer just for you. Yes, I was crazy enough to think that I could fix a laser printer, and gave up after the third laser printer that I can't get to work. So Steve, you're a sick man. Anyway. I should plug Allison. And Steve recently had a stream where they played that pony game. Can't remember the name of the game. I don't care. It's got a pony in it. You can change the color of the pony, And Allison is a speedrun expert in this game. I think she's ranked like 22nd in the world or something. I don't know if that means there's only 22 people that have played it. Nah, I'm just kidding. She's actually pretty good at it. Anyway, she is a scholar and a poet, and writes plays and produces them and all sorts of stuff. And she had a fundraiser where she did, I thought was a pretty good fundraiser, but you should check it out. Anyway, they's good people. Okay, so enough delaying. What am I going to work on today? Well, unless you guys want to watch me spend half an hour cleaning my bench off, I don't think I'm going to do the HackerBox. Maybe I'll just talk about some of the recent acquisitions. So, I went to a place about an hour from here. Guy had put some stuff up on Marketplace, and it was like a picker's paradise for retro equipment. It's a storefront where he does phone repair and computer repair and stuff. But I guess since COVID, they've accumulated a ton of stuff, and it's all over the place in just stacks and stacks of excuse me, of stuff that's teetering and might bury them alive. Anyway, so they're trying to get rid of some of it. And one of the things I want to do is make a grease weasel. Steve inspired me to archive HyperCard stuff that I run into. And I actually have some of it here. So, Cooking with HyperTalk 2.0. And I think Rudy sent me... No, Rudy didn't send these to me. Chris sent these to me. There's this HyperCard player home stack. A lot of this is already on, the Macintosh Garden. But not all of it. And there's this HyperStat Macintosh Hypermedia disk and some other things. Anyway, a grease weasel would make it a lot easier to archive these things because... No, Steve, it's all right. I have a habit of picking up new hobbies. Excuse me. Need more coffee. So it's not your fault. Sorry, let me move the mic up. All right. So the one of the things that you need to acquire is a Sony branded floppy disk drive. And I had some other brands, but they don't work as well. Apparently the Sony ones are like the gold standard for this. So, oh, come on, focus. This was on the floor in the basement. Yeah, I actually went down to the basement of the shop, and I survived. On the floor in the basement, just lying there. They knew they had some. They had no idea where they were at, so I picked that up. So I'm just waiting for Tom to send me a board so that I can make a grease weasel. What else? I acquired... Sorry, let me get up so I can figure out what model number this is. A Commodore 1702 video monitor. The gentleman had several of them, and he said, oh, the one that's in that pile over there next to the front door entrance, that one needs to be degaussed. So I'll make you a deal on it. And then, and I think I paid a little too much for it, because he didn't even ticker. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Anyway, got it, plugged it in, doesn't need to be degaussed. So his memory is probably a little suspect, or he just couldn't remember which monitor and which pile needed work. So, so that's good. I don't know if you guys have experience degaussing or even know what it is. Sometimes you turn on a color monitor and it's got blotches of color on it because the guns are all screwed up. Because of, I think it must be stray magnetism or something. Yeah, physics, those things. Look it up. Anyway, there's a trick that I learned when I was a wee lad working in the university repair center. You take something with a powerful magnetic field. Does it have to be an alternating magnetic field? I don't know. Anyway, it has to have a powerful magnetic field. Soldering gun, not iron, a soldering gun has a big coil in it. You could use a hand drill. Yes, 1701 was the best enterprise. No bloody A, B, C, D, or E. So anyway, you get something, a motor of some kind that has a strong magnetic field. Plug it in, get it going. So, you know, if it's a soldering gun, you just turn it on. And then you, close to the monitor, in a circular motion, you go around. It'll make the colors swirl. And then you back off the monitor and do tighter and tighter circles, and it will straighten out and clean up the, it'll degauss it. And it's pretty cool when you do that. I used to, as a student, I would drive to various places to pick up equipment, and there were a couple of things they would let me fix, even though it was a union shop. Yeah, one was, please, for the love of God, check to see if it's plugged in, because half of the calls are for somebody kicking the plug out of the floor outlet, and the university for some reason thought it was great to put electrical outlets in the floor underneath the desk. So people would kick it, and then they'd call support because their monitor wouldn't come on, or they would say computer's broken or something like that. Anyway, so they'd say, please check to see if it's plugged in before you haul it back to the bench. The second thing they would ask me to do is, if it needs degaussing, do this. Don't bring it back to us. Just do it there. So they would let me do that. But that was kind of magical and fun. I really enjoyed doing it. Kind of looking forward to doing it with this one, and it didn't need it. So there you are. What else did I pick up? So from VCF Midwest, I got this Toshiba satellite. It's a 486. And why does a Mac guy want a 486? Most of my career I did Microsoft Stack development. I used to have a Tower 486 case that I carried around, so I had a handle bolted to the top of the case. And I did PHP development, learned web development on that box. I did, DOS C programming in it and stuff. And so I kind of want a 486 so I can do that again. This one, it tried to turn on at VCF, but it, didn't quite make it. You could see it flash the boot sequence on the screen a little bit, and that was it. Then it would shut off. So I was pretty sure it was a power board issue. So I got a deal on it at VCF, brought it home. Sure enough, looked it up and everything. All I had to do was recap the power board. Of course, I had to take the thing entirely apart to do that, and it works. So that's kind of cool. So I'll be doing some DOS programming on the 486 at some point. What else did I pick up recently? I also got this at VCF Midwest. It's Microsoft Basic for the Apple box set. Box set. And what I like about it is it comes with the manual and the disc. And here's the manual. And you'll see what I'm talking about. This manual is it's spiral bound. So you can actually lay it flat when you're using it, which is really important. So there's that. As opposed to this book, which can't really lie flat. These things are important, people. And some other random stuff I picked up. I've also been 3D printing a few things. So my wife does knitting, and she also spins yarn and stuff. And when I got the 3D printer, I promised her that I would make some things. So there's this disc. It's got a kitten on it with a ball of yarn. And this little stick thing that's got paw prints on it. But what this is a yarn carrier. So you put a loop on this so you can attach it to your wrist. You put a ball of yarn on here, and you can carry it around while you're knitting. So you can have portable knitting. So it's a really simple thing. I looked it up online, found some, dimensions of what they should be, and designed it and 3D printed it. So this is for a friend of hers she's going to visit. I'm making another one right now. Takes about 3 hours to print on a Ender V3, so it's not bad. I was a little concerned that this wasn't going to be beefy enough to hold it, but it appears to be solid enough for it. Yep, don't drop it, Eric. So that's pretty much all I've been doing lately, is working on the manual, finding bugs and trying to fix them. And yeah, it's 9:30, so we got I killed half an hour not doing anything, just talking about stuff. Maybe we should do something. Watching me edit a manual is probably not going to be all that interesting, so we're not going to do that. Let's see if I can do anything in adventure here. I know what we can do. Let's start up the editor. And let's open the move this over so you guys can see it. Going to open up the well, it's not a tutorial yet, it's really just the demo game, the tavern. And we're going to go to the home location. So I'm thinking about, oh, let me see, got a comment. I don't program like you, however, I have an idea for a new game for you. Let me know if you are interested. I am always interested in new things and ideas for games. So yeah, we'll chat, Rudy. Um, one of the things I want to do, games like this and HyperCard don't work. I mean, they'll work on a classic Mac, but they don't work very well. They take way too many resources. If you got a 4 MB, 68,000 processor on a Plus or something like that, it'll play this game, but you basically go away and get a cup of coffee between commands. So it's too slow. If I were to write it in C, or Pascal as a classic Macintosh game, it would operate a lot faster. Oh yeah, Rudy, it can't be a game where all you do is work all the time. Um, I don't think that's marketable. Unless you're working through the apocalypse or something like that. That might play. And I've already written something that's a SQL interpreter. Um, so we don't need to do SQL. So anyway, oh, where was I? I lost my train of thought. Oh well. So I want to do this tutorial and make this a tutorial. So I was thinking there's a couple ways I could do that. One would be I could write an Apple script that would basically animate the game and take you through the motions of doing stuff, um, and display something that steps you through the game. And I thought that sounds like a rabbit hole. What can I do with the tools I already have in the game to actually do a tutorial that would still accomplish the task of walking you through it? Excuse me. Well, the game has non-playing characters. It's got dialogue. You do have to talk to an NPC. They will converse kind of randomly with you. You don't have to talk to them; they'll just start talking to you. But it's not really organized if you do it that way. What I think I want to do is I want to take the tavern, which is a demo game, and turn it into a tutorial. So there'll be a non-playing character that is sort of an avatar that will show up at the first location and just describe to you how to play the game. So, yeah. So I thought maybe we'd go in and edit this, and it'll walk you through the features of the game and how to do things as you play the demo version. So when the game starts up, whatever the home location is, and that's where this checkbox is the first location that just automatically comes up, and it has a description. In fact, I want to I'm going to quit this, and I'm going to make a copy of the tavern. And we're going to call it the tutorial. Oh, it helps you type on the right keyboard. And we'll start up the editor again. Okay. And we'll go to the first home location again. And it's got a description of the tavern and everything. Well, thank you for joining, Rudy. I don't usually wake up this early on a Saturday either, as you could tell from the start of the stream. um, so this is a bit wordy, um, and the tutorial really should be simplified. So instead of being a complicated thing, we're going to slim it down. And we're going to say before, yeah, wrong keyboard. Before you stands a tavern. The directly to the north is a door, and to the south is a well. Okay. So we're just going to do that as a simple description. Now, I also have a description with a lamp, but you haven't acquired the lamp. And the idea there is that if you're in a cave and you don't have the lamp, you can't see anything. Helps if you hit the right keys. I keep hitting control instead of command. Anyway, so if you don't have the lamp, you might not be able to see anything. If you have the lamp, then you can see stuff. That's why there's two descriptions. Anyway, so we're going to save this. So I simplified the description. Let's create a character that is an avatar that will help you. So we've got several characters in here. I don't want to use the ones here. So we're going to create a new character. And, oh, typing on the wrong keyboard again. The avatar. Well, am I going to get a strike for having an airbender? No, because that's just a generic term. So the avatar is your guide to adventure. They will explain how adventure works and how to interact in the game. Alright, here's the dialogue for them. So the dialogue happens in sequence here, unless you mark it as random. And we want the things that the avatar says to be in a sequence, so we're not going to do that. One shot is just interjections that are made once and then it never says it again. So we're going to have them say, hello, I am here to help. And then each line is a separate thing to say. It should be named Clippy. I could do that, but I don't want to turn people off, Garth. I could name it, I could have it be your silly parrot or Furby or something like that. But then, you know, if it were the parrot, people would probably, squawkers, people would probably not trust it. So, so we're not going to do that. So it should probably say more than just that. Type talk to avatar and I will respond with helpful advice. Okay, so a new line. What's the first thing that you need to do? Yeah, def sus. Pet rock. That's a good idea. I think a pet rock should be a weapon or something that you pick up. So I'm going to save that one. Thanks, Rudy. So when you first get into the game, you're going to need to go somewhere. So navigation is probably the first thing that it should talk about. But even before that, you need to look at your surroundings. When you enter a location, it automatically displays the description for it. You know, rocks are vastly underrated. It is the secret to technology. How is that? You bang the rocks together. You guys are probably familiar with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But anyway, if we didn't start banging rocks together at some point, you wouldn't have had tools. If you don't have tools, you don't have technology. So, don't be joking that much about rocks. Everything we do is because we were curious and banged rocks together. So, so the first thing probably should be you can use the command look to see your a description of your current location. Okay, so you look around. The pet rock led us to the Macintosh. So what else? Oh, you guys can't see the entire screen. I'm sorry. Let me move it over. I could change the resolution too so you could see more of the text, but I'm not going to. What's the next thing? Well, there's different commands, so you could look. You can look at something, but just look is enough to see the description of the location. In the description, you will see items that you can use, pick up, and non-player characters you can interact with. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is have this avatar be repeated multiple times, and that way the text in the dialogue is specific to that location that they're at. So instead of just calling it the avatar, the first one should have a name. So Fred. I'm just going to call it Fred. Fred. Guide to this location in adventure. At this location. You see, actually, for example, if you look, you see a, let's see, what kind of object should we give them? Well, throwing axe. Let's do that. Pick up the throwing axe by typing get axe. In adventure, you do not have to type the entire name, just any part of an item. Just any recognizable part of the name. Okay, so a little bit of a hint there. All right, so we got some dialogue here. This is going to be an ally, so that they just talk to you. We're going to give it some health and strength and magic and stuff. They're not going to have any items on them. So we're going to save Fred. Now this hasn't actually written the file. I need to have it auto-save the file as you work on it. I'm going to save it now just to make sure. Save. Place. Alright. So if we go to the tavern, it's the home location, we're going to add Fred into the tavern, and we're going to add one throwing axe, now when it does the description here, it automatically lists the objects that are in it, so I don't need to type it. So what's going on in the chat, you guys? Hey, all things. Movement, inventory, how to take items, how to examine items. Yep. Call it Garth. Well, that's an idea. I could just start randomly putting people in there. Garth, do you want to be the first avatar? I could do that. The vast knowledge contained in my brain sack is a terrible burden. We could add that to the description. You could be a sad avatar. You could be like the depressed robot from Hitchhiker's Guide. What was his name? Marvin. You could be Marvin. Yes, Trina, you could be an avatar too. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. That should be fun. So since I already mentioned it, we're gonna make Garth the first avatar. So what do I have to do? So Fred's already here in this location. I've already saved the game. Let's go back to NPCs again. Go to Fred. Now, I did anticipate that you might need to change the name of a record. The name is the key value, so you can only have one Fred. We're going to call it Garth. Just going to use first names. Garth is your guide to this location adventure. Garth is a wealth of knowledge well, let's do this. Garth brain contains, brain sack contains a wealth vast knowledge which is a terrible burden talk to Garth and I will respond. Okay, so I'm going to save Garth. And I think it should have fixed the location. So we go back to the tavern. Ah, there's Garth. Now it did take Garth out of the location. So that's a bug. It should have just changed the name and not deselected him. Maybe I didn't save it. Anyway. I must not have saved it because I don't see the throwing axe in here. So we're going to save it, replace the file. I am going to quit and go back in and see if it's there. Just to make sure. So now I'm playing characters. Garth is there. Go to locations. Go back to the tavern. Garth is there. Okay, I must not have saved it. You are a bug, Garth. What kind of bug do you want to be? Okay, so we should try this and see how it works. So I've already saved it. The go to game thing is not working very well. I may take it out. It's a little goofy when it fixes up the menus, and I haven't quite figured out why it's screwing up like that. And if you've edited text that changes the menu in HyperCard to for the edit menu, because you have something in the clipboard and it's gotten complicated trying to sort it out, so I might just have you quit HyperCard and then open the other app and not have it try to be intelligent about switching between the apps. Anyway, so we gotta open a new game. Okay, after a long journey, you arrive at a clearing with a small tavern. It's a strange sight so far from the nearest hamlet. Before you stands a tavern. Directly to the north is a door, and to the south is a well. Ishmael, you see a throwing axe. Ishmael, you see a Garth. Oh, I need to change this description so it says talk. Oh, wrong keyboard. Talk to Garth. Hello, I'm here to help. Type talk to Garth and I will respond with helpful advice. Garth, you can use the command look to see a description of your current location. Type in the command look. Okay, so we've got some dialogue I need to work on here. Oh, so first thing is, in the location, type the command look. No, sorry, talk to Garth to begin your tutorial. Okay, so we're going to save that. Good morning, Gut Bomb. Type the command look now. So I also do this really should be part of the same description. You can pick up the throwing axe by typing. Type the command get axe now. So let's save this. So there is a bit of back and forth here. What I really should have done was tried to incorporate the editor right into the game so that you could just go edit this location or something like that. Maybe in a future version it'll be more integrated together. Because going back and forth is going to be tedious for edit. Either that or there should be a way to, in the editor, pop up, try the location or try the, you know, that could be interesting so that you could test run it. So we got to open the new game. Yes. Tutor open. Okay. Type the command talk to Garth to begin your tutorial. Talk to Garth. Talk to Garth and I will respond with helpful Garth. You can use the command look to see a description of the current location. Type the command look now. Look. Okay. talk to Garth. In the location description, you will see items that you can pick up and non-player characters you can interact with. If you look, you see a throwing axe. You can pick up the throwing axe by typing get axe. In Adventure, you do not have to type the entire name of an item, just any recognizable part of the name. Type the command get axe. Ha! There is no axe here for you to take. I thought... Oh! There's multiple items. Okay, here's a bug. There's a battle axe and a throwing axe. It thinks I'm looking for a battle axe because it's scrolling through the list looking for items that have axe in it. It fails because there's no battle axe. It doesn't continue on to find a throwing axe. So this is why writing the manual in a tutorial is good, because you discover bugs. So if you are trying to pick up an item using a abbreviated name, for example, well, and that name appears in multiple items, and the first item isn't found in the location, it will fail. For example, if there is a row axe at the location and you use get axe to pick it up, and there is a battle axe item in the list of possible items, the code will try to get the battle axe and not fail and not try further. Okay, so there's a bug I need to fix. Hey, see you, Rudy. So this is what my day is like now when I'm working on this stuff. I write things in the manual, trying and testing it out as I go. It's a good thing I'm doing a tutorial too, because the tutorial is a lot more interactive. What I'm typing in the manual is a lot more just, you know, a list of the commands and, you know, etc. So the tutorial is a great way of testing this. One of the things that developers are pretty poor at is testing their own code. A developer tends to, because they know how it was written and they know the internals on it, they pretty much have a predisposition for testing things that they've already coded for. And testing for border conditions, or what we call alternative courses can be tricky because you're not thinking out of the box. You're not ignorant of the code. So it's one way of solving that problem is you do peer reviews. You have other developers. Yeah, we know where our jank is. That's a good way of putting it. So one way of doing that is you have peer reviews. You have another developer test your stuff. If you're in the right kind of environment, that's helpful. If you're in a nasty environment that you work in, it can be a nightmare because they, take delight in finding bugs, or they focus on minor things and make them bigger than they are, or whatever. So in a bigger organization, you have a quality assurance team that does this. And they might have been developers. They might have been, one of the best QA persons I ever worked with was a developer, and he was a good one. And he took on the mantle for the project of being the quality assurance person and turned that into his career. So he was a Microsoft MVP, wrote a couple of books. Great guy. I haven't talked to him in 20 years, but, whatever. I couldn't do that. That's too much work. I really don't think like a user. I think more like a user than a lot of my colleagues do because of my experience, but it's because I've had to, not because I'm disposed to doing it that way. And I manage a bunch of business analysts now, and unfortunately our customer thinks that they know how to test, and they don't. So they won't pay for quality assurance staff, which means my business analysts end up being QA. They also don't know how to do testing, not very well, but you work with what you can. So my business analysts write a lot of the test cases and test plans, and we're doing better because now testing is the responsibility of the agency that we support. But they only do happy path testing. Yeah, user acceptance testing is not QA. Exactly. Quality assurance is about assuring the quality of what you've done. It's testing everything. It's doing regression testing. It's doing load testing. It's, there's any number of ways of testing. It's actually understanding what's going on inside the code so that you have a prayer of actually testing all the border conditions and everything. It's a profession, and it's not, even though in a sense, I've been set up for failure because it's the agency's responsibility to do testing. In a lot of cases, they throw it back at us and say, well, we don't know how to test it. You guys test it. But they won't pay for quality assurance staff either. So what happens is, if it gets unit tested, I don't have control over the development team. They don't record their unit testing. So I know that developers are lazy, and there's a good reason for that, but they don't do they don't do unit testing really. If it works the way they coded it, they're happy with that, and then it goes on to QA, right? So my BAs, I constantly have to have them think about border conditions and things like that. So they'll help our customer write test cases. And it's getting better. Our customers getting more sophisticated because they've been working with a vendor that really does know what they're doing and pushes them to do better, and they're learning a lot. And that vendor will not accept doing less than they need to, whereas we're told to do less than we need to. Unit testing is not QA either. However, unit testing should inform quality assurance and user acceptance testing. If a developer is unit testing something, that should become part of the the user acceptance testing. There should be a test case for it. Anyway, so I've been, carrying a stick around beating other people up, but it can be challenging when you've got limited resources and the other resource managers don't just, it's not that they don't care, it's that they've got bigger fish to fry. And when you got a customer that's, pushing the date and trying to stretch the iron triangle. I'm sorry, I'm really getting into a rant now. Long story short, I still have to wear the hat of doing quality assurance and user acceptance testing for my own code. And I realize that's going to be a failure. It might be okay. This isn't, life saving equipment or anything. It's a game. But it could be better. And I have had a couple of offers for a little bit of beta testing. We'll call it user acceptance testing, but it's not going to be formally done. It's going to be, here's the tutorial, here's the manual, try to play the game. And I'll get people that'll do stuff that I didn't anticipate them doing, and hopefully it'll make it better. So gut bombs going off too on this. One thing that is often overlooked about QA is that QA should be experts on how complex applications work and how they're supposed to work. Developers should lean on them greatly for help making. My best testers were not coders. The more they learned about coding, the worse they got as testers. Oh, that's interesting. Is it because they moved away from effectively mimicking users? Because I could see how that would happen. Sure, they're interpreting tickets correctly in the intent of the application. Yeah. So it's a lot of work. A lot of customers, they don't see value in it. They think that you should be writing code, and they want to know how many lines of code you've produced or how many screens you've made, and that's the only measure for success for them, is how much you've produced. Well, I could go off and write Doom, ignore the requirements, build a game and stuff, and deliver that to them. Is it solving their problem? Probably not, right? Unless they asked you to build Doom. And I have this conversation all the time with the customer. They're getting better. But I'm also 61 years old. I'm not going to be around working that long. I can only do so much. And there we are. So what I've taken to doing is being brutally honest with the customer. When I've got their trust to a certain extent. And did you guys watch the movie? What was that movie with Dustin Hoffman? Little Big Man, I think. There's a scene before the battle of at Bighorn with Custard, and Custard is using Dustin Hoffman as a reverse barometer. He's going to ask him for advice because he's supposedly an Indian guide, and do the opposite of whatever his advice is. And so he asks Dustin, should I go down into the valley and to do this battle? And Dustin answers with a brutally honest answer that is completely true. And he tells him, if you go into that valley, you are going to be massacred. These aren't just a few women and children that are, that you're attacking in a village. This is, a superior fighting force, whatever. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the details. But anyway, and Custard realizes that it's true, but also is confident in his interpretation of that he's a reverse barometer, that he should use him that way. So, of course, he gets massacred. Anyway, um, I've taken to doing this. I'm brutally honest with the customer when they ask me. We have an opportunity where I work where we could do development that we haven't done and ramp up to do it instead of them always going to an external vendor for it. And I was asked for my opinion about, the vendor and stuff. And I was very honest with them. I said, we can do this work. I'd love to lead a team to do it myself. The bid that you have is very expensive, and we could save you some money on that. But I'm going to be very honest. We have to ramp up and also hire, contract a team to do this. We don't have the staff to do it because you haven't allowed us to. I didn't say this, but essentially, you've kept us so lean that we can't do this. So my advice to you is, if you want to ensure success and you want to make sure you make this date, hire the vendor. Pay for it. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg, but, and on top of that, this vendor understands the technology. They don't know your business. You will only get what you ask them to deliver. If you're not obvious and explain what you want, you're going to get something, but it's not going to be right. So you got to commit to putting in the time to educate them about how you do business. Or you could have us do the development. We understand your business a lot better. We have a relationship with you already. You trust us. But we're going to have to ramp up, and it's going to take time to do it. We're probably not going to be able to make your date. Choose wisely. So, I could tell I didn't give him the answer he was expecting. I think he thought he was going to get a sales job from me, and I was just brutally honest about it. So I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't heard yet. I think he's going to try Solomon's solution and have the vendor do some work, have us do some other work, and then a third group do some other stuff. And he's going to try to make the date by having 3 separate teams work on collaborate and work on the solution. If he does come back with that suggestion, I'm going to tell him, now you've created a monster where you've got communication issues and people are going to have to, you've just added to the work because communicating's going to be a bitch. And you still have to tell this vendor, explain your business, It's going to take longer and it's going to cost you more because you want to have 3 separate groups try to do it in parallel. So that'll be another interesting discussion. Anyway. Oh, Gutbomb, what are you saying? When the devs don't understand some of the business logic of the benefits could be selected under certain circumstances, QA greatly help navigate. Yep. That sounds like a total shit show. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're talking about Gutbomb situation or mine. But yes, and this is how modern development usually works. So hang on a second here. Let me switch screens. Darn tablet keeps shutting down. I gotta change that. So, I'm not saying that it was perfect in the past, right? You had for software development, you had a glass room, right? And you had to approach the glass room, and it was a box, and it had all the cool stuff in it, including the developers. And you would beg for your printout, and they would give you a stack of paper, and you'd look at the paper, and it would say segmentation fault core dump, or whatever, So, the monkey room would be a glass box, and you'd have to converse with the monkeys. It's a little different now. Modern development is different. But But what's happened is you've got the iron triangle, and it's the usual thing. It's like, do you want it cheap? Do you want it fast? Or you want it good? Pick two. You can't have all three. And customers are always trying to do all three, and they're trying to stretch that triangle. And you can do some things. You can throw things out. You could throw out quality assurance. You could throw out requirements capture. You could throw out testing. You could strip it down to, I'm just going to have the subject matter expert talk to the developer. You could try all these things, and you could make it cheaper, but you're going to end up with crap. And my career is rife with people that have tried to bend that triangle. And even if you do everything right, if you have quality assurance and you don't try to stretch the triangle and you focus on quality, there's pitfalls in that. You could end up in what I call the spiral of death, where the project never ends. And this is a problem with Agile. Even in hybrid Agile waterfall models, and that's pretty much my life, you get into this endless cycle of somebody tries it, they describe what they want, you build it, you show it to them, it's not what they wanted, or they didn't really understand the problem they were trying to solve, so they refine it, and then you go back and you end up in a spiral of death where you just never finish. There's no definition of done. It doesn't really work. And then the problem changes under you. Legislation changes, situation changes, whatever. So you end up in this spiral where you never finish. The other extreme. Yep, see you, Billgoats. I know I'm rambling now. But anyway, the other extreme, waterfall, is just as bad, where you do requirements. You write up the requirements. Then you do design. And then you do build. You can never go back and redo the requirements of the design. If anything is wrong, you wait until you're completely finished and then you start making changes. And that's painful too, because nobody knows exactly what they want. Sometimes the problem changes, even if you're perfect. You have to be able to react to that. So somewhere in between the spiral of death and the waterfall is where we try to live, and it's complicated. Add on top of that the technology is constantly moving and changing, and there you are. Sorry, this turned into a developer's rant. We're used to old man yells at cloud rant. Curses. Anyway. So, I'm sorry that I wasn't well prepared to have a great little presentation this morning, but this is what you get when I'm too busy with things. So, I'm going to not endorse again and say, check out HackerBox. Jamie does a good job of showing how these things work. And it's a stepping stone. I mean, it's got example programs and things like that for doing stuff. But this is I've never really done microcontroller development. And so I'm interested to see what I can do. It's got measurement devices that you can hook up and all sorts of things. Normally I would do a Raspberry Pi kind of a development environment, but having a full-blown operating system is overkill. So anyway, I'm gonna do that. When I get to it, because I need to focus on the game. The other thing I got to do is, and Cubicle Nate helped me out with this with a video card, is that Windows 10's dying in a year. Support's going to end. And when it does, you'll have to use Windows 11. Windows 11 seems to be workable. It's functional. I don't like the direction that the commercial products are going, though. Frankly, I haven't liked it for a long time, but I used to use Linux for my daily driver, back in the days when Ubuntu was giving out CDs. And I did that for a couple of years, and I got frustrated, so I stopped doing it. But, there's things about Linux that have really gotten a lot better. I want to make Windows 10 be my secondary environment, because there's still things that, or even Windows 11. The computer I'm working on right now is not Windows 11 compatible because it doesn't have the security chip. But anyway, long story short, Windows 10 has been around a long time. It's been a very good operating system. It does have its issues, but I don't really want to go to Windows 11. I am at work. I don't have a choice. So I'll still be in that environment, but I want to get back into using open source software. Now, then it becomes, what works best. Which distribution do you use? Red Hat has its own issues because it's a corporate release. Ubuntu is also from a company. So, they could always decide to take their ball and go home. So, I've been looking at Debian. And it's a owned by the people kind of distribution. I like that. But it also has its own issues. I really liked Linux Mint Debian edition. You kind of get the best of both worlds. You got that kind of commercialized user interface, but it's built on Windows is the best Linux distro. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I needed a better video card because the support for NVIDIA is really problematic because of proprietary drivers and stuff. And some of the distributions do not release the latest versions as quickly as others. I was having some problems with the video card I had. It was just barely capable. Worked fine under Windows, but it's just barely capable. Anyways, Cubicle Nate did me a solid and donated a card to me. Got it installed, so the hardware is there. I just need to go back into building and working with that distribution. I want OBS to work under it. I want to do streaming with it. I want to make it a daily driver, and that's going to take some work. But I'm just ticked off enough about how the commercial software industry is functioning that I really do want to put the effort into doing a Linux distro. So I will do that again. I just can't right now. I got to focus on getting this game done. So there's another old man yelling at cloud rant. Okay, I guess I'm done. It's 10:30. We've gone an hour and a half. I will endeavor next week to have an actual topic and work out the details. Maybe I'll play around with this isometric thing. So, maybe I'll work on the tutorial more. Maybe I'll come up with something totally different. Anyway, like and subscribe if you choose to. Feed the algorithm so that I can get more views. I am getting really close to the next benchmark with the YouTube stream. I've got almost 500 subscribers. When you hit the 500 point, you get to do certain things that you can't, with less. So I would like to reach that. So if you've got an extra account and you want to subscribe to the channel twice, please do. What else? If you want to contribute to Adventure or to the other shenanigans I do around here, please feel free to. No obligation. but I do appreciate it. It is helping me get things done, and quicker. Being able to buy the laser printer is going to make a huge difference in printing manuals up. So thank you for all that. And please do check out the other YouTubers. I don't know, is Big Bad Biologist, Big Bad Bench going to be streaming today or not? I don't recall. Sometimes Tech Ambrosia also streams on Saturdays. I think Trina is supposed to be streaming. When are you streaming, Trina? So, if you are, Trina, throw that link in the chat if you haven't already. Oh, no, my Hobbit name is Gimli. For obvious reasons. I'm short of stature, and hair is my weapon. So, you know, you might be canceling the stream. Why, Trina? Hey, Trina, if you stream, depending on when it is, and whether you want me to or not, I might join your stream. And I don't mean just watch it. If you want, I'll join the stream, and then I can heckle you in the stream. Should you care to do so. Anyway. All right, enough. I'm just rambling now. Oh, yeah, the hackerspace is important too. So I understand. Go to the hackerspace. Be with your meet space friends. You know. Virtual is important, but so is real life. So, all right. I'm out of here. See you guys later. Oh, where's the button? Where is the button?